Hello, this is Dean Phoenix, just continuing with my Deathmarch No Armour playthrough on this extremely interesting playthrough that I've been doing, and we are just about to start on the Novigrad quests. I did start off this bit of the stream a little earlier, but I unfortunately forgot that I didn't have my mic on, so we need to restart this again. Now, there's a couple of things you could do here. Just want to be selling a few items and stuff like that. I'm just going to skip over this time, and just start with the quests. So the Novigrad quests, not my favourite if I'm completely honest. A lot of them boils down to running around trying to find Dandelion and doing some quests that I don't think are the best in the game. But we'll have to just see what's actually going on. I just chose the wrong option there and got into a fist fight, which you always want to avoid on Deathmatch if at all possible, because I really hate the fist fights on Deathmatch. They're garbage. And they take a lot of damage like that, so yeah, always a bit of a problem. But never mind, we'll just try and get through this first. And then we can crack on properly. So let's just see what we've got. Don't think you can use potions in most of these fistfights, although sometimes the ones with 2 enemies versus 1 you can do. But yeah, we can use gourmet, so that's alright. It should be enough to let us get the damage off and be able to take these guys out. But yeah, fistfights extremely boring. Avoid at all costs. Best to just counter like that, but again you need the patience for it, which is just really frustrating. Let's take these guys out. I really hate that fist fighting on Deathmarch. So yeah, after we've taken these guys out, we'll be doing Trish's quests and just starting those off. And then after that, we'll be absolutely fine for sorting those out. So managed to beat those two, and then we'll just carry on like this. So again, like I say, we've got to do the quest in Novigrad. A lot of running and fetching and things like that, which is a bit frustrating. So we'll have to see what goes on there. So let's find out. Now, the thing about these particular quests that make them at least a bit useful is there's a lot of places where you can actually get the things like alchemy recipes. There's a lot of those, particularly in the bit with Now or Never with Trish, where you have to go through the sewer, so we should be able to get a few of those as well, and get a few good stuff like that. So we'll skip through all this stuff, and then we've got to go on and carry on with that, and we'll be doing that next. So I'll just skip through this bit with Mengo and everything else. You've got a few key decisions that you have to make in these quests as well, which are interesting. It's got the superior insectoid oil there. I won't be making any of these superior bombs or oils because they need white gold to make stuff like Rebis, the higher level alchemy components. So you need to be doing those first. Getting those first, and getting white gold means buying the things like cherry cordial that go into actually making white gold. Now there is a way that you can get around this. If you watch my video about going to Toussaint earlier, you can save yourself money by going to Toussaint and then being able to do it by buying the things directly from the perfumery merchant there, and it's a lot cheaper to buy them from him, so that's really good. So we're just going to do that and carry on. Looting all this stuff, you don't really have to loot as obsessively as I am doing here, because all things considered, we've got tons of money now, and especially with me not having to buy any armor in this playthrough or make the armor, the costs of that are going to be you know, save a few thousand crowns there over the course of the playthrough, so matters even less. So got the Rose of Remembrance, and then I should be able to carry on with this stuff. So, gotta get back downstairs and carry on with this. Like I say, not my favourite part of the game, the Novigrad quest. I suppose it's quite interesting the first time through, so you know, it is just because I have played it a bunch of different times as well. So let's see if I can do this bit first and avoid having to do this awkward bit where you're following the guy. So which way is going to be which? I think there's a guy that you can talk to, one of the guys who's perched up top. He will actually, this guy will actually tell you about it if you speak to him correctly, but I can't remember which is which option you need to do. Let's have a look. Let's go with this. Let's have a go through this. Yeah, so you choose everything that's not asking him about it.
Thanks for your help.
Yeah, right, good. Because that's the quickest way of doing this bit, is just to speak to that guy and choose those options, and then you're good to go. So, one thing I do need to be doing at the same time is speak to this guy about the contract. I'll do that as well. And then we need to be continuing on. I need to dump a couple of things in my stash. The things that I didn't sell to the armourer or the blacksmith are the things that you can actually decombine into really good components. So anything that makes dimeritium, stuff that makes dark steel plates and draconic hides. If you were wanting to make the Grandmaster armors, those are the kind of things that you watch out for. So I'll be doing that instead. Might as well haggle a little bit for this contract. And then we'll be carrying on. Might as well do this whilst I'm running past him, just to get it out of the way so that I can come back and do it later if I find myself in that area of Novigrad. I'm just going to run around this way first, dump stuff in the stash, and then make my way carrying on to find the King of Beggars hideout. Just running past the alchemist there, probably my favourite alchemist in Novigrad, because he has a lot of the stuff like enhanced tornial and things like that. Actually no, he didn't have enhanced tornial, I found that elsewhere, but he had a couple of the interesting enhanced oil recipes and stuff like that for the ones that I use quite a lot. And those being relatively cheap, the ones that I do make good use of, I do tend to actually keep like that. So just going to dump all this stuff in the stash and then carry on. And then off we go. On we go. So, it's going to be running around here. Not far to go for Putrid Grove. I mean, this guy that you can speak to just inside the, you can see there's a merchant shop icon just inside this gate, and this guy is the one of the earliest places in the course of the normal game that you can get really good saddlebags, because he has these Ericanian saddlebags for 900 crowns. But you can see that I'll show when we're speaking to him, but you can see that in my playthrough I went right at the start. I do what I always recommend to do, which is go to Upper Mill if you have the Hearts of Stone expansion. And then buy all of the, let me just have a look. Buy all of the Ophiri saddlebags from him. So there's a set of Ophiri saddlebags and you can win a saddle. And that'll get you a really, really great saddle and the highest capacity saddlebags until you get to Blood and Wine, which is hundreds of hours later. So, but if you're in the normal course of the game and you're playing it normally, or you don't have the expansions, the way to get these Ericanian saddlebags is either to buy it from this guy for 900 crowns, or you can watch my video about going to Skellige early, which is actually pretty easy with the right skills and things like that. And then you can just win them for free in a race. So that'll save you 900 crowns if you can get there, because it costs you 1,000 to go to Skellige, but you can get that money back instantly by looting the captain's body. So you can see there, normally you would buy these Ericanian saddlebags for 904 crowns, but I've already got the Ophiri ones and they only cost me 259 right at the start of the game. So that's excellent. So we get to play this guy at Gwent again, and off we go. I'm using the Nilfgaard deck, but it's not the best at the minute. The Northern Realms deck is better early on because it's a lot easier to get the cards very early, and some of the stuff that you need for Nilfgaard are sort of random drops. So, but it's a little more skillful playing the Nilfgaard deck. The Northern Realms deck is very easy because it's a starting deck. So, at least with Nilfgaard you have to make interesting use of your tactics and things like that, so it's good like that. So I'm just trying to go and try and get him to use his leader ability, because they will use them pretty early. I've got these decoys and this normal card medic here and one hero card medic, so I'll be able to use a lot of these cards and then play them back again afterwards. So made him waste the vampire cards there at least, which is good, and we go in 6/6. And can just go on from there. So again, you can reuse a lot of the good cards with the Nilfgaard deck, and we've made him use that leader card there. So what I'll be able to do is just get a few points back of my own, and then I'll use my leader ability to try and make him waste a turn, and then see if he'll play any more cards as well. So he's got 2 of the Crones, so that means that when he uses one, it's going to pull the other in, so he'll lose a turn there. He's got Torrential Rain, which makes no difference. Because I don't have a what's the word? What is the word? Siege card, so I don't have to use those. So what I could do here is I could decoy this and play back one of my other cards. I should have decoyed this one actually, but I wasn't concentrating properly. But can just use that there. So that's going to waste 2 more of his cards. It's going to draw the other one in from his deck. So you see his number just went down to 2 there where it shouldn't have done. And that's made him waste his leader ability and waste the Crone muster cards as well. So I should be able to win this one. And get another reward card for doing that. So it may be that his last card is a Scorch, which is why he had to use the weather card there instead. But it's actually the Leshen, so didn't matter what order he played them in there, I was going to win anyway, so. And then we can just double these up and win. That'll win anyway, because Nilfgaard obviously ties. Any tie goes to Nilfgaard for the win, so. And this is one of the really great tactics you can use as well, is to take the medic back. And to replay anything, like if you've got strong combinations like Type Bond and stuff like that. So, a lot of fun using the Nilfgaard deck like that. It's not as strong as it can be later in the game because you need to get the Relentless leader ability. Although if you had a deck that was, they'll let you enter the high stakes with, you can get that really early, especially if you don't mind missing out on the Scoia'tael or monster ones, because you get that for beating Sasha. So that would be really difficult, but you could save first, beat the halfling, save again, and then beat Sasha, and anytime you lost just reload, and that would get you the Relentless leader ability straight away. And then even if you lost the subsequent matches or the fist fight against the Elven guy, because he would be a Red Skull fist fight, so it would be very difficult to do. Even if you lost that fist fight, all you would miss out on is the monster deck leader card. And whilst that would be really good, if you're not planning on using the monster deck in that playthrough and you want to just get Relentless early, that's how you can do it. So that is a useful option as well. So just going to grab everything here. Normally these sort of things just have absolutely useless junk in, but it's the only little frustrating thing about looting in Novigrad is sometimes you can get interesting things and sometimes it's absolute garbage and you can't really tell what it's going to be until you loot it. So there I just got 2 Alcahest, which is really useful because that's keeping my stocks up, and I do meditate a lot in this playthrough because I'm making good use of alchemy. So it is worth looting if you have the patience. I'm just going to skip through all this stuff and then I'll loot from the King of Beggars as well, which weirdly will cause me no problem at all. He doesn't mind you stealing all of his stuff, so that's like a bit weird, but on we go. So we're just going to skip through all this stuff, blah 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 blah, and we're just going to go on. So this is what I mean, a lot of this is backstory, introduction to Triss and everything else if you haven't played them, so yeah, we'll have to see. We'll have to go on from that. Yeah. Skip through all this stuff. The first time I had it was a really long time playing this game on my first playthrough because I played it without subtitles and I didn't want to skip any of the dialogue and everything else. But on my subsequent playthroughs, much prefer just skipping through all that stuff. Just because the game is very long, and on my other playthroughs I want to be experimenting with builds and it's more about the gameplay and stuff like that, or doing things like this where it's a no armor playthrough, so that's all interesting. Grab all this stuff here, tons of stuff for meditating and the odd bit of crafting ingredients as well, so always good stuff to grab. Again, you can pick up the books even if you don't really need them, because you can sell those to Marcus, the guy on the square with the bookstore, and there's another merchant near the Armourer on Novigrad Square who also buys them for full price. Well, not full price, but the highest price of anybody that buys books in Novigrad. So if Marcus runs out of money, you can just sell them to him instead. So just grab all of this stuff. I've got all this stuff, ton of Alcahest and things like that, and some dried fruit as well, which are very useful for 80 HP per second recovery with Gourmet, which I'm using at the minute. So we have to go. So we get all this bit sorted, and then we're just going to carry on. Now you have to do the Oneiromancer, and like I say, that bit I find really boring, but I'll just have to see how we go. Usually I just speak to Sarah instead of flushing her out, but this time I think I will actually flush her out of the place, because one of the interesting things is that if you do that, if you flush her out of the house using the certain, it's something you buy from this guy, I believe, then she actually ends up with Johnny, the godling from the swamp, when you're doing the those quests. So that's quite good. So don't buy this unless you're going to do the quest that way, because it's not worth doing otherwise. So Enhanced Northern Wind, that's one that you always have to buy. You can't really get it from other means, as far as I'm aware. So I'll just buy that now that I've got a lot of crowns spare, because that's extremely useful as well. So I probably would have got, as far as I'm aware, you don't actually find the Northern Wind manuscripts anywhere. You have to buy them, and those are like the only ones, I think, from what I recall. But I just got Enhanced Blizzard there. Doesn't need anything particularly rare apart from that Golem's Heart, and I do have one of those anyway, so I'll just make that now, because Blizzard is another one of those that can be quite useful. And we've got the stuff for Enhanced Northern Wind already. Again, nothing particularly rare that I'm giving up there, so just make that, because that's a extremely useful bomb as well, and you get more uses of the enhanced ones as opposed to the others. So right, let me have a look. Okay, so we've got to go and get this stuff, and we can just dive in to get that. And I think you have to go through these sewers here as well, so just put on Quen before we go. It might still be lasting by the time that we get to fighting the drowners down here, but if not, it's no big deal. I'll just take them out with Ard. So yeah, we still had Quen on there. Straight away, just going to use those. And the really good thing about doing Ard Sweep is that it would raise my stamina regeneration if I had the Ancient Lesson Decoction in use, but I don't at the minute, so I'll just put that on afterwards. I believe it's only the 1 or 2 enemies down here, so it's not really worth using the decoction just yet. I'll do that later. So again, there's a ton of stuff that you can actually pick up down here. Some of it useful, some of it not quite as useful, but always worth looking. Again, got another Lesser Triglav runestone there. You do get tons of those, and they're really useful because it's not just the it's not really the 2% stun. I don't put them in the swords very often, but you get so many of them that you can sell them for like 102 crowns to the right people. So you can see there, there's a Lesser Zoria and the Lesser Triglav up here. So at one point I had 22 of those, and I've already sold quite a few. And again, if you sell them to the armourer or blacksmith in Novigrad on the square, then they sell for 102 each, so you can sell a bunch of those and make a ton of money. That's another really good tip for making money early on, so that's great. Let me have a look. Okay, so you just dive in and grab a bunch of stuff here. I think you do still end up, even if you choose the option to try and make Trish jump in for it herself, I'm pretty sure that you do end up having to dive for it either way, but you get something else from the chests down here. So see if we get any more alchemy recipes. I just got a Lesser Darsburg runestone, so again that's one that you could either use or combine into the higher version of it, which does 3% burning, so that's always useful. And it could be that actually you might find some alchemy recipes if it's the ones that you've not bought already. So obviously if you buy the alchemy recipes, then you won't find them in the world because you've already got them. So that's something to take into consideration too. The other good thing about making sure that you're looting and getting all of those alchemy recipes is that you get 1.4 acquired tolerance for every one that you know. So all the bombs or decoctions or potions that you know, including the superior and enhanced ones, they all count for 1 point each and are very useful. So okay. Right.
I've recovered my memory completely.
Good. That should stop people from taking advantage of you.
Someone's been taking advantage of me.
I have.
Yep. Yes, you have. Well, apparently. I've never actually read the books or anything, so need to get the back history on Triss. She's in, I believe she's in Witcher 1 and Witcher 2 as well. But need to go back and play those at some point. Just finding the time, unfortunately, so. Okay, let's get all this stuff, and then we go and fight these guys in here as well. And that'll be about the time that I need to
I'll cover half the space. You take the other.
be using the decoction, so I'll just use those now. So we've got the Echidna, the Ancient Lesson, and the Foglet. Those are the ones we're using. They make really good use of signs and give you a little bit of extra sign intensity. There are a couple other useful ones you could use as well, like Wyvern and stuff like that. So
Looks like, but rodents.
Geralt, we'd both rather be somewhere else. I'd rather be sitting in a royal council meeting, but they killed my king. Look for crevices and draw things.
Once we place things,
yeah.
what they hold.
right, so we got all that stuff and we're good to go again.
Ready for some magic fireworks. Once I activate the incense, we'll have a moment.
If you can use Quen when you know that there is something coming up, like a battle, that's a good idea because you can use it out of battle and have Quen on when the actual conflict starts. So because your stamina regeneration is so quick out of battle, I can just keep using it here, and then when all the rats are gone I'll just try and get Quen up right as they're all leaving, so that when we start this actual battle I should have Quen on and can go right to using Ard Sweep, which with the Ancient Lesson decoction gets you health back every time you use it because of Echidna, and also increases your stamina regeneration, which is the reason we actually use the Ancient Lesson decoction, so that's tons of fun. Alright, so we've got to go on like this. Yeah, right, so skip through all this stuff, don't really care what Triss thinks, blah 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 blah, not going to do any of that. And then carry on there, so on we go.
Never.
I get my answer. She says that pretty much to whatever you say, I think, so. Uh-oh! Now you could use a bomb to make these easier as well. I might as well, because I don't really like the close quarter combat with these, so. Get a salmon, which I've already usefully got equipped, and that'll stun them all like that. And then I can go right into using Ard Sweep. And Ard Sweep's really great because it'll give you a couple of strikes like that, and then like I say, with the Ancient Lesson decoction, for the rest... Oh, sugar. With the Ancient Lesson decoction, for the rest of it, the rest of the battle, it'll make your stamina regeneration quicker. Now that is why I should always keep Quen up, but I was just getting a bit lazy there. So I'll have to restart again. So this is why this kind of playthrough is fun, because instead of just being able to tank hits like you can by now in a normal playthrough, I would have the Nilfgaardian armor or the Griffin armor, and the Griffin armor has okay resistances to human types of damage, which are slashing for swords, piercing for spears and mainly arrows, and then bludgeoning, which is clubs and things like that. So those are the three types of damage that humans do depending on their weapons. So if you had the Griffin armor, then you would have okay resistances to slashing and piercing and bludgeoning, and really good monster resistance, and decent elemental resistance. Now if you had the Nilfgaardian armor set, the DLC set you can buy at level 10 from Crow's Perch, that is a medium armor set, but it has fantastic resistances. It's like 45, 40, 40 or something nuts like that. It might be in the 30s, but they're quite high anyway, so it's a significant reduction to those types of damage. And then you could put protective coating on, and with the right type of oil add another 25% straight onto that, so you can reduce the damage by like 60% for most types of damage, and make it a lot more manageable. But on this playthrough, where I'm taking full damage because I'm wearing no armor whatsoever, you do have to be very careful of it, and just watch out for taking damage. So really I should be dodging a bit more and using Quen, but it's been a couple of days since I played actually, so just been a little bit lazy there. I'll have to get back into it. So that's the thing about having Ard Sweep and the Ancient Lesson decoction, is it's such a powerful combination that I do get a bit tempted to get a little bit lazy and rely on that instead. So I have to keep my wits about me, and just make sure that we are being careful in these types of fights, particularly against multiple enemies. Now there are a bunch of other strategies that you can use when you're playing the game normally. If you have medium armor and Griffin School techniques, which you could well have if you are using those types of builds, it is particularly a useful thing to have because it'll increase your stamina regeneration, and also your it'll also increase your sign intensity by 20%, which early on in the game is quite a lot. So that's useful as well. So if I'm keeping my distance and playing properly like I should be doing, then this is how you would use the Ard Sweep. And you can see that already my stamina regeneration when I'm not guarding has gone up a lot there, so I can very quickly switch to something else and make sure that after a couple of uses of hard sweep I can keep Quen up as well. And this bit is pretty useful because Triss will actually help you out as well. So I got hit again there because he stunned me. Oh, it might have been actually Triss hitting me now that I think about it, which is not very helpful. And you see that one of the other things I did was I had gone to Skellige and got the echidna decoction, so every time I use one of those signs, it actually increases my health as well from the echidna decoction. So the echidna and the ancient lesson, two of the better decoctions for sign use, particularly if you have, well, only really if you have these signs that do work with the ancient lesson decoction. So again, that's something else that I had done a separate video on, so if you wanted to watch that, then you can watch that video about the mechanics of the ancient lesson decoction. And off we go. Let's go. The ancient lesson decoction, it works with hard sweep, with active shield, which is secondary Quen, fire stream, which is secondary Igni. It doesn't work with either of the Erdens, which is a bit of a problem. So it's not much use with those signs. It works with both types of Axii. Regular Axii is the only regular sign that it works with. So it's very good for that. It actually works better with Axii than it does with any other sign. And then what's the other sign that I'm missing? The other sign that I'm missing is regular Ard, so it doesn't work with regular Ard, just Ard Sweep. But the reason it works so well with stuff like Fire Stream and Ard Sweep and Active Shield is that you can use those depending on the upgrades. They take varying amounts of stamina to use. Active Shield, for example, you can just put up and then let drop straight away when you have 3 points in it. And that will increase your stamina regeneration for the remainder of the fight with Ard Sweep, but with the Ancient Lesson decoction rather, but it will also not take any of your stamina, so you can repeatedly use that. And it's similar with Fire Stream. Fire Stream gradually uses the stamina bar instead of using it all at once, and so it's quite an interesting combination because you can very quickly just use a quick burst of Fire Stream and get a 1 second 1 point per second stamina regeneration boost for a really quick use of that, and then drop Fire Stream straight away again. So those alternate signs with Ancient Lesson decoction can be quite useful, but unless you specifically go and try and take on the Ancient Lesson early, you're not going to have that until sort of level 22, or if you're at the lower edge of where you can take on the contract without the Lesson being Red Skull, that's a level 22 enemy, so you'd have to be like level 17 or 18 just to start with. So got to do all this stuff. Again, I don't really need a lot of this stuff. I tend to be a bit obsessive about looting, which is kind of annoying when I'm on replays, but we'll have to see. Going to grab all this stuff again and skip over all these bits. So this is the Oneiromancer Kareen Tilly, who we need to sort out and get back in the land of the waking so that she can then help us with our various dreams that we need to sort out and trace where Ciri has gone. So we're just going to carry on. Right. I just need to remember where it is I'm actually going for these bits. Attic first. So where is the attic? Alright, on we go.
Way to the next room is blocked.
So if you've got something like that that's in red and has the Ard sign, that means that you've got to use Ard to smash through it. Just loot all this stuff again. Again, it's mainly alcohest, a bit of alcohol and stuff like that. Food items. But you will get the occasional useful thing as well. Like amethyst dust, you can sell that for a decent amount. And if you're using food items without gourmet, then that would be useful to pick up as well, because you run out of them a lot more if you're using gourmet. If you're not using gourmet. The main advantages of gourmet, the thing that makes it really amazing, is like you can use the 80-point food items and they last for 20 minutes each instead of 10 seconds, which is incredible. Mainly from a convenience viewpoint, but it's also really convenient because you don't have to keep using the food in battle. So you can dedicate those 4 quick slots you've got for using potions on the D-pad just to using potions instead. So that's good as well. So, like I say, there are 2 ways to get the godling out here. So I'm just going to go and find the oven, and I'm actually going to make sure that the godling leaves the house this time, so that Sarah can go and be with Johnny. So that's again one of what would seem like a pretty obvious choice, where you don't want to, you know, force the godling out. Actually has unintended consequences, and ends up being not bad for them if that's the choice you make. So I think I'll do that in this playthrough. I have done it once before, but I'm doing things a little bit different in this sort of playthrough as well, so that'll be fun to do as too. Smash through that wall, grab all the stuff there, and then just look at this bit. Again, nothing particularly useful to grab there, but find the godling and flush her out. When's the next actual interesting quest? I can't really remember, so just bear with me while I skip through all this stuff. And then we go. Okay, so you can make a deal like that, or you can just use the burn dock like that. Now, can you actually set it on fire, or I can forget how you even do that. Oh yeah, you just have to be stood a little bit away.
Trying to suffocate me. You don't. Someone will do the same to you one day.
Oh.
You bird-docking bully.
Oh, big meanie. Never mind, it works out well in the end. That's why I do that on this playthrough. And again, to do things a little bit different. So just going to skip through, do all this stuff, speak to her. So there are multiple outcomes to this quest depending on what you choose to do. So if you you can choose to tell this guy that there's, you know, the house is haunted if you leave Sarah to live there and things like that. So it's interesting. And again, it's just indicative of how much work has gone into the game and how many options there are. Really great for stuff like that. Just an amazing game. Right, so we're just going to be running along here. And one of the interesting things that you could do if you wanted to with... Let me just have a look. Where am I going? Oh, but this way. One of the interesting things you could do if you haven't seen my tutorials on skill switching or things like that is you can check that out. So you see here I've got acquired tolerance, and normally if you're over 70% of your toxicity you will take damage, but as you can see here that I'm not taking any damage from having these, even notwithstanding Gourmet, which is healing me at the minute. You can see that I'm at absolute max health. So if toxicity is hurting you, you can never be at absolute maximum vitality. You'll always be 1 or 2 points below, because even if something like Gourmet is healing you, you still don't count as being full health. So that's evidence that the toxicity is not hurting me, and the reason for that is that potion toxicity is completely different from decoction toxicity. So you can, if you're only using decoctions and you don't have any potions on top of it, you won't take any damage. So you can apply your decoctions and then remove acquired tolerance, and it also means you don't have to have heightened tolerance slotted. But for convenience I'm just leaving it on here. I don't want to spend my points on anything else at the minute, so I'll just leave that as it is. But I could put delusion on there just in case I come across, I mean, whilst I'm doing it as an example, I might as well just put delusion on there, just in case I come across anything there. So I could, if I was to do that, then what I would actually do is just put delusion up here and give myself a bit of a boost in sign intensity, and then put Gourmet down there. So interesting way of doing it if that's what you want to do. There tends to be a lot of good stuff to pick up in here. You can get some really good items. Often find meteorite silver and things like that in here. Again, it is slightly random, so it's not guaranteed, and I have looted these places already. But it is a good thing to look out for, because you do get some interesting stuff like rune stones and things like that. So make sure that you're looting everything in here, because some of it will be actual junk, but some of it will be very useful, so, or potentially useful anyway. So I'm going to go in that bedroom to speak to Corinne Tilly, so we're just going to do all this stuff first. There you go, that's what I was talking about. You get things like meteorite ingots, and you can get some really good stuff in there, as well as just other things like that, Temerium Rye and Nilfgaardian Lemon, so that's other stuff you can sell, which is always useful. Yeah, so we've just got 3 meteorite ingots, so those are really good. I believe you need those for Griffin gear if you're making the actual Griffin armor. So it's worth checking in here and see if you get some. And they've also got stuff like silver, which in this playthrough I'll actually be using to make sure that I've always got broadhead bolts, because they inflict bleeding 100%. And that's particularly useful in this kind of playthrough. So just going to speak to her and do all this bit, and again just skip through. Nothing particularly interesting in her room, but might as well grab it anyway. And then I can skip through this stuff. I can't actually remember if choosing these extra stories and things like that is just background for Siri, or if it's just actually makes any difference, but I don't think it does, so I'm just going to skip through things as quickly as possible, because this is literally just skipping through all these things so I can get to where I need to be. Okay, so we're just going to go through. Ah, no, I didn't mean to say any more, but let's go. Anyway. Right, so we're going to go through all this stuff. And, right. So skip through that. It's Dandelion and the Swallow and stuff like that. And then you got to find Dandelion at the Rosemary Time. So I think when you go back to the Rosemary Time now, you find Zoltan there, and that starts this bunch of quests, so just going to go on with that. So my gourmet has run out at the minute, just going to put that back on. Using any of the foods that heal 80 per second instead of 50. And then we can just go and start Broken Flowers. Again, I just find this a really boring type of quest, but you know, not much you can do about it. Needs doing. I'll just have to sort of power through. Oh, a couple of bandits here. Might as well take them out. Not that they'll have anything particularly interesting, but if you get somebody burning like that, then the burning does really good damage to them. So you just want to leave them burning until it actually runs out. Don't strike them, because that actually stops them from burning, and the burning on, especially on Deathmarch, will normally do more damage than your actual sword strikes will. Those maces are really heavy, so you don't want to be carrying tons of those all the time, but you might as well grab them if you've got the inventory space and it's not weighing you down, just so that you can sell them later. Because that's another small source of income, and cumulatively it will add up to quite a lot over time. So oh, what's this? Oh yeah, that's the Novigrad quests for the Master Armourer, so don't want to be doing that just yet. Grab all this stuff while I'm here. We'll be coming here later with Dandelion. So I'll just loot all this stuff now. And then we're going to carry on running around, talking to whoever I need to talk to, do all these quests and stuff like that. Looted a lot of this stuff already because I've been running around Novigrad several times. If you've watched the earlier episodes or you've watched my Deathmarch walkthrough, I actually recommend coming to Novigrad, but avoid. There are not many conflicts you can't avoid, if any, from what I remember when you first get here. So you can avoid just doing Trish's quests and stuff like that. And you can avoid doing the quests, spend a lot of time looting. You can change your crowns over with Vimy and stuff like that. And in the normal progression of the game, you'll be doing that when you come to Novigrad at sort of level 9 or 10, after having done the Baron's missions and stuff. But instead, you can actually do it early. So again, just have to fight these guys. But fortunately, they've not got any enemy upscaling on for some reason. although I did think that I had that on, so I'll have to check. But at least it's making it easier, and they're doing a lot less damage. Alright, so beat those guys. I'm pretty sure I do have enemy upscaling on, but let's just have a look. Yeah, obviously doesn't count for that particular fight, so it's a bit strange. So now we've got to do another bit where we just talk to a load of women and Elihal. And off we go. Do skip, 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 skip. I believe you get his ledger here. There you go. Excuse me. Read through all this stuff as well. Right, so we get through all of this stuff like that. Actually, having never read the books or played the games, I don't really didn't really like Dandelion much in my first playthrough, not knowing the history behind him and Geralt and everything else. But it's actually after I'd done the bad ending of Blood and Wine for the achievement, he actually endeared himself to me quite a bit more. So I did like that. Did like him sort of in the end. So we'll go through all this stuff. I talked to Zoltan because I believe you get a ton of experience just for doing this as well. So 400 experience points there just for reading a ledger and winning a fist fight. It's one of the slightly weirder things about The Witcher 3 is that it doesn't force you to do the side quests, but which is strange because a lot of RPGs do to order to get the experience. But really for this, a ton of the quests are actually more or less optional because you don't get a large amount of experience from them, just a bit of bonus experience, and you get most of it from the main quest. So, oh, bless me. It's quite interesting in that sort of regard. So if Sultan's got anything else to say, I think that's pretty much it. Then we got to go and speak to these people. So just quickly skip through with the right stick, clicking that in just to find who's closest. And then we'll go from there. Now, I believe with Vespula, this person who's getting attacked by the thugs, the only real good outcome for her is if you pay them the money. But you can use other stuff. You can use whatever other tactics you want, like beating them in a fight or anything else, if you want to save that money. Because it doesn't really gain you anything else from it, as far as I'm aware. But again, don't really need money in this playthrough, so I can just get rid of them easy enough. Just want to avoid another fight if at all possible, because it's not going to make a lot of difference. So we're going to skip all through this stuff like that, and then we go. There we go. Skip through and find all this stuff. There we go. Okay, on we go. There we go. Another bit of experience. So again, you get tons of experience from this quest. You get almost like a full level. And I've just leveled up there again. My next actual bonus from the skill tree and things will be getting a... I believe you get a mutagen slot available at 15. Something like that. Let's have a look. So you get a slot at 15 and a mutagen slot at 16. So nothing for a couple of levels and then a couple of bonuses at once. Oh, sorry, excuse me. I could loot all the other stuff around here now, but anyway. Elihal's next on the list, he's next closest. I'm just going to leg it over to him, or her, him. Then go from there. I'm just going to double check because I have to knock the commentary off for just a sec, so I'll check it's still coming through whilst I play Elihal at Gwent, because I can't remember if I played him before.
Did you and Daniel?
I met him one night in a tavern. He was blind drunk.
What? That's
Luckily,
Dan.
I tried.
When did?
Oh,
What did?
If Dad in
Calx,
your but as
really?
Radovid.
I know this is none of my business.
Why I became
Okay, so we're back. Just gonna skip through all this stuff again,
I could
and then, like I say, I might need to play him at Gwent.
greet
Another bunch of experience there. I think I did play him already, but we'll see. It's no chore playing extra Gwent anyway. Okay, so let's just pass that round and win like that. I didn't actually get any of my medic cards, which is a little unfortunate, but I'll have a look. Make them waste these scorch there at least. I'm just going to take these cards back because it doesn't look like, I was just about to say it doesn't look like they've got a medic, but really annoyingly, right as they do that, they play the medic, so never mind. Could have done with saving that. So as long as they don't have a biting frost, I should probably be able to win anyway. So they've just got brute strength really, so I'll try and save this card until, oh, I should have just put that on the middle of the row, but I forgot there was one there already, but never mind. So they've got one more card and then they've got Vez, so we'll have to see what they've got as their last card. Unless it's a biting frost, I should win. Doesn't really make a lot of sense, seeing as how it benefits me and not them. But yeah. Pretty sure I have beat Elihal already though. Yeah, so I didn't get a card there because I'd already beaten him already, but that's no big drama. Next closest is going to be Marabella. Wherever she is. So I'll go and find her. I think she's the school teacher. She must be the school teacher. So we'll go and find her and then go on from there as well. This is where these guys try and take your gear and stuff because you insulted the eternal fire before. But yeah. Alright, so again, just going to use Ard Sweep first. Get that extra bit of stamina regeneration. And the more you use it, the quicker it gets. And it'll also sometimes let you get instant kills like that by knocking them down if you have a bit of sign intensity about you. And you can use the other signs as well, so just use Erden there. And it's a lot easier to parry when they're slowed down from Erden, and you also get a few more hits in. Knock him down, and then getting a few hits, and even if you don't get the instant kill, you get those couple of hits in before they recover, so again, that's very useful to do. Also took out a few chickens as collateral damage with a hard sweep, unfortunately for them, but never mind. That's good for quickly killing the geese as well if there are geese about, like at Corvo Bianco and Upper Mill, and that's good because you can get feathers like that, so that's always useful to do as well. Other animals like pigs and stuff don't fall over just too hard though, you'd have to use Igni on them, so. But again, that can be useful because you can get pork and hides and stuff like that, and pork is another one of those foodstuffs that give 80 per second healing instead of 50, so that's really good. Okay. So we'll just find Marabella and go through and talk to her. I'm going to skip the fencing lessons and stuff like that with Rosa Vanatra because they don't really add a lot. In my opinion anyway. So we'll speak to her. And on we go. So this is what I mean, we're already 50 minutes into an episode and most of it's just running around Novigrad talking to people and fighting a few thugs, so yeah, not the best. So I'll just wait here while she finishes off this stuff and use that to loot things as well. Okay, so grab all these things again. The book's not particularly useful or anything like that, but you can sell them. That's like a tiny bit of extra income. Diary of Fire Swallow is actually quite useful, quite interesting if you read that, so that's a good one to read. So where's she gone? There she is. Right, okay. Speak to her, then we've got to speak to Molly, then we've got to go to the Vagelbud estate, then we've got to come back and fetch in and all that kind of stuff. Rosa Vanatra, got to find a way in there as well, so... Okay, here we go. Da 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 da. Get through. Da ba 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 ba. Okay. Alright, on we go. I mean, it's like I say, it's interesting backstory and stuff, but and you get the experience for it. It's easy experience points, but when it's actually comes to actually replaying the game, not my favourite bits to do. Just gonna carry on through all of that stuff and carry it and go like that. Right. Can't remember if I have the marker near the Vagelbud estate. I think I do because I remember my first death in this playthrough was when I was at Karsten, and that's very near there, so I can't imagine that I wouldn't have. So, let's go. On we go, looking for Molly. She's not here, blah 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 blah. I'll find my way there on the site. Yeah. Okay, skip through all that. Last person I believe I've got to speak to in Novigrad is Rosa, so you have to find your way through there as well. Where is she? She's not far from here. Don't know if there's a way that you can actually get in here properly. Without having to go around the back, but I know that most of the time I end up going around the back of the mansion anyway. Oh yeah, so if you just say you're a swordplay instructor, you can get straight in, that's easier. Again, just loot all this stuff. Pretty standard. Now this is really funny if you're playing on New Game Plus, because you can have Euphoria and Rend. If you have Rend by here, it's quite easy to beat her. So, which is totally possible if you got all the places of power from, you know, the relevant places. But oh, I really hate fighting her. It's just so frustrating. So you got to dodge a lot. She does a ton of damage as well. So I believe, actually, if I remember correctly, you can hit her with bleeding and poisoning, but I can't remember. Might be possible. But it is useful with Gourmet as well, because I believe Gourmet is still active during this. I think so, anyway. Find it a little easier to lock onto her sometimes and then just dodge her strikes. And hit her like that. Get a few hits in here and there. I don't think it actually matters if you win this little battle against her, but always worth trying. Yeah, okay. So we go through all this stuff, blah 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 blah. And then we go through all this stuff. Okay. We go through all this, blah 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 blah. Oh, you gotta beat her again, that's so annoying. She gets all the health back as well. I can't remember if the actual Warthog decoction is effective for this, so like if you do more damage if you have the Warthog decoction, so that would be something else to watch out for. See if I do any more damage with her. Not really worth using strong strikes, they're not doing enough damage, enough of a damage difference to be with it. So again, I'll just sort of get her down with that. Oh well, at least it's kind of interesting, good practice for dodging. When fighting a one-on-one opponent with swords, it's sometimes quite useful to use the lock-on like I'm doing, like that. And then you can at least just stay facing when you dodge out the way and things. So when she does her big running attack, you can just dodge and then get a few hits in. Until she starts parrying again. Damn, she's so boring to fight. Okay, so beat her, no problem. On we go, blah blah blah. Right, skip through all this crap. We go, and then we got to go through this, and go through all this stuff. Blah 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 blah. Skip through all this stuff, and then go do 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 do. Skip through all this and all. Okay, so we got to go through here, and pretty much it's just always Priscilla that you're looking for. Right. Don't want any lessons, get rid of that. No, don't want to be doing that side quest. You also don't fail that quest if you never accept it. It's just not a quest that I enjoy doing anyway, so I normally only do it for completionist sake. I'm trying to get as high a level and much experience as possible, things like that, but yeah. In this playthrough, I just can't be bothered. It's boring. And just a waste of extra time. Right, so we just got to get to the Vegelbud estate. Now, I believe I should have the fast travel marker for that somewhere, so let's try and find a fast travel marker. Where's the nearest one going to be? I can go from there. Could have sworn there was one near here, but maybe not. Maybe it's just the notice board. I will just play this guy a quick visit, because I have more than enough crowns to be able to afford a potion of clearance if I want to get one. Want to buy one of those now. So, and he normally has one for sale. At some point, I'll want to just do this. So, get one of those. Nothing else particularly useful that he has, so I'm just going to carry on. I've already beaten him at cards, so. Again, this is another mini quest that you can avoid. But for now, I'll just follow this little kid and do it anyway, because I don't like having the little question marks on the map, which is kind of annoying. I should be able to take these out with the Devil's Puffball and everything else, so let's just do that. So I'll get that Devil's Puffball there, get up Quen myself, and that should do plenty of damage to them. And they take a ton of damage from poisoning there. I can't use the potions because I am using the skill switching and just the I am using the decoctions at the minute, so that's one of the drawbacks of doing a decoctions only one, is you have to get your stamina regeneration up with the Ancient Lesson decoction instead of with the enhanced Tornio or superior Tornio, which I actually love using normally, so this is why I'll probably end up using acquired tolerance and then maybe heightened tolerance as well later. But again, that's something that I do in pretty much every playthrough, so I might actually just try and avoid that a little bit. Who's this in this shop? Is this the person who plays Gwent? I don't think so. But I may be able to sell some stuff to him, so let's see. Yeah, so not a Gwent player, this guy. See if he's got anything interesting. Nope. Let's get rid of some of this stuff. You don't get a lot of money for this stuff anyway, so I'm not really that bothered about selling some bit for lower prices. I've pretty much enough money to last me for most anything I want already, so that'll be fine. So now I just have to find again a fast travel marker, because it's going to take me ages if I actually make my way to Bagel Bud itself. I think this would be the way back to the Chameleon, or Rosemary and Thymes as it's still called at the minute. Which way are we going? Or at least to find one of the bridges with the fast travel markers, so I can do that. Right, so we've got to find this bit and do the horse races as well. Probably could skip these as well, but I don't like having failed quests, so I might as well win them. I've already got the good saddle, so it should be pretty easy. Talk to Bohan and all this. I don't think it really matters which horse. I can never seem to tell a difference in any horse of the horses that you use in this race either, so you don't get to use Roach, sadly, so let's have a go, blah blah blah. Alright, let's have a go with this stuff. Alright, so talk to Molly wherever she is. Oh, maybe you can avoid those horse races then. That's interesting. I don't need to do them for anything because I don't need the rewards. It's only the sort of medium range of saddles and stuff like that. And I already have much better with the Ophiri saddlebags and the Ophiri saddle, so... Anyway, skip through all this stuff. We'll leave her to a little delusion, so it doesn't really matter what option you choose here. Skip through all this. Different fathers, different mothers, yeah. On we go. Alright, so that's all that stuff sorted as well. I didn't have to do the little race as well, so that's cool. Just trying to avoid as much of the extra stuff that we don't really need. I should be able to go back to Novigrad now. On we go. So we're just going to skip back so we don't have to fast travel ourselves or anything else. and then we can carry on with Broken Flowers or whatever the next one is. At some point we'll have to do the quest with Triss as well. The one where you have to go back to the Vagal Bud Estate too. And carry on with that. So I need to think about what I'm going to use the ability points for as well. So I could go, as I was saying, I could go either Signs of Combat or Alchemy, obviously. There's not a lot of the general skills that I will actually want to be using in this playthrough. So I think I may go with Metabolic Control though, to give me the extra bit of toxicity and heightened tolerance to be able to use decoctions together with the decoctions and the what are they called? Potions all together. But to have enough toxicity to use 3 decoctions and the potions, I'd need Metabolic Control and then heightened tolerance on top of it. So I could drop Gourmet if that's the case, because I'd be able to heal up with Swallow and the Echidna decoction easy enough, and wouldn't have the need for Gourmet any longer. So that's an option I could do. As good as Gourmet is, I find that there are sometimes better options that I like later on. If I was going to use that particular type of setup, I'd probably want Metabolic Control as well, and that's a much later alchemy skill. It's the 3rd tier alchemy skill. So I'd have to think about putting all my points into that, because it wouldn't leave me a lot for combat or anything else. There's always a few enemies in this sort of area, so you can take them out if you want, or you can just ignore them. And they do have clubs, so you have to be careful. So at least the guys with the clubs have a harder time defending themselves, but you still have to be very careful about them, because they do a ton of damage with the bludgeoning damage. So it's always a good idea to be careful with these guys if you do take them on. But you can see my Ancient Lesson Decoction Nard Sweep is doing a lot of good. Like that. Decoctions are almost up, so I'll have to be wary of that and a bit mindful, and make sure that I meditate and use those again before I do any combat or anything like that. Consult with Zoltan, and then I'll just carry on with the other quests. I believe there's little mini quests here as well, where you can save the merchant who's being harassed. And I think with Delusion I can just do this right off without even having to fight, so I have got Delusion equipped at the minute. Again, using that skill switching, and it's given a bit of boost to my sign intensity as well. Okay, so can we actually get rid of it? Yeah. Okay, so send them away, save this guy, tiny bit of extra experience points, and Delusion's good for that. And again, that's another advantage of skill switching. So like, the decoctions don't last as long because we don't have acquired tolerance slotted, and we don't have any other alchemy on us either, but they do last for half an hour still, which is plenty of time to be doing pretty much anything you want. And that means that you always have time to meditate in between quests or anything like that and reapply them. You have plenty of alcohests, so again, that doesn't really matter. I'll just meditate now just to get those back in case I do come up against anything. I'll put acquired tolerance on. So yeah, the advantage of using skill switching is I can have Delusion slotted here, boosting this sign intensity, so I get that extra sign intensity there, so I get another 10%. Whereas if I was leaving acquired tolerance in place, I'd have to do it like that. So lots of things to bear in mind when you do stuff like that. Okay. So for those of you who know who that owl is, you know, it's a bit frustrating that you could probably skip ahead like 20 levels if you just knew who that owl was and skip a couple of things like that, but never mind. So we've got to do all this stuff. So Zoltan says that he's not really learnt much from what I remember, and then you just got to skip through all this stuff. Alright, so skip through all this stuff, and turns out we need to find Priscilla and things like that. And actually that's a good place to, that's a good time to be meditating, because I'll need to meditate anyway to be going to the Kingfisher. So Run up this way and go to Novigrad Square again. Sell some stuff to the armor if he's about as well. And then head to the Kingfisher after sundown, like it says. Alright, so we're just going to sell some stuff to him, seeing as how he is still here. And then skip the Priscilla bits. Now I will actually still be skipping the bits with Priscilla and her singing and things like that. Which is like one of the really good bits of the game when you're first playing it. I really think they've done a brilliant job of that scene, but here I don't really need it, so we're just going to skip over it again. Sell a couple of these, and again, because I'm on a no armor playthrough, I can sell a good chunk of these. Keep that sword there because I know that's one that can be deconstructed, dismantled rather, into dimeritium. Sell a couple of these Triglav runestones again. Get a bunch of money that way because we're never going to use all these stones. I'm only keeping them, keeping the 10 of each or 5 of each or whatever because I am so conservative. So it's just my nature of how we do that. I like to hoard things, especially in games and stuff like that. But we can sell a few of these, make a ton of money. So, and might as well just get everything all repaired as well. See if there's anything else here that particularly wants dismantling. Don't need a lot of this stuff really. Most of it goes towards armor and things like that, but you always want to dismantle shells and the really cheap junk that makes like steel and things like that. You might as well, because there's lots of things that you can sell for just like 1 or 2 crowns, and no real need to keep those. Okay. This is the merchant I was talking about before, who you can sell books to. There's him and there's Marcus on the actual square as well. And we got this. And you see I've sold some stuff to him already, so let's see what else we got. You don't need duplicate trophies either, so like you've got the Griffin or the Cockatrice one and they're all the same there. 10% chance to dismember, don't need either of those. So you can sell trophies. Unfortunately there's nowhere to display them. I would really have liked them to have had somewhere where you can display those in Corvo Bianco or something like that. But sadly there isn't, so you can sell all this stuff as well. And he gives pretty good prices for them. So even though they don't sell for a lot individually, you can see you can easily get like another 100 crowns or so. 200 crowns. Make money that way too. And again, that was another thing that was covered in that making money early video, which is one of my most popular videos, so I recommend people check out if you need those sort of tips for the game. So, going to do here. Make sure that you play Olivia as part of the necessary quests in Gwent. Before you do Trish's Now or Never, I think it's Now or Never that he dies during, so you have to make sure you do it before then. Otherwise you can just pick up his Gwent card afterwards, but that's just something to bear in mind. So we've got a few things here. Again, he's one of the guys who gives good prices for stuff, so if you're going to sell things, then sell them to him if possible. Just going to sell a load of stuff, unless it dismantles into silver or gold. Not that fussed about keeping on top of it, so just can get rid of that stuff. Maybe can't meditate in the Kingfisher, I'll just come outside first. Why I'd be able to meditate outside instead, I have no idea, but I suppose it doesn't make much sense meditating in the middle of a pub. Right, so like I say, really good scene. This really well done, beautifully sung and everything like that. But I'm just going to skip it for now because I just want to actually get on with the quests. I believe this next quest is the one where the play's the thing, and you have to sort out doing the play and all that kind of stuff, which is really frustrating. But so skip all this stuff, blah blah blah. Really great song, etc. 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 Get accused of being a murderer, which to be fair they started it, but you know, never mind. And then go all this stuff. Skip through all this as well. And skip. Just 1 minute. Okay. So skip through all this stuff and carry on with Novigrad's quests. Right. Got through all that as well. And then we've got the Dijkstra quest to do as well, so. Right. What have we got next? Go to the bathhouse and speak to Reuben. Right, so we've got to do the Dijkstra bits before anything else. Right, so Zoltan's gone and we can carry on with that. I think that's Kurt Dysart as well, who you can get a quest from. That's a much higher level quest and you don't get anything particularly useful from it. So unlike the Ancient Legend quest, I won't be putting a good amount of time into doing that because the rewards just aren't worth it. Earth Elemental Mutagen and then the Earth Elemental Decoction that you get from those isn't a really good one, to be honest. Every 10 seconds you get a 10% increase to your resistance to things like bleeding and stuff like that. So after 100 seconds or a minute 40 you have 100% resistance to bleeding, burning and all that, and poisoning. But there aren't that many enemies that inflict those statuses on you, and by the time you get into a higher level there's better things you can use instead and more effective decoctions, so it's not really worth it in my opinion. Never one that I make a lot of use out of. Right, now, here I do need to make sure that Gourmet's active and that I've got my decoctions on. Because, if I remember correctly, this is the really irritating bit where you don't have any armor or anything. And it can be a bit of a faff, so. So I believe the decoction should stay active if I do that. I can't remember exactly what order you do it in, but I mean, I guess we'll find out soon enough. So yeah, this bit's quite tricky, so you need to make sure that you're well prepared for this part. If you've been using an all combat build, then you have to dodge a lot at this bit. Because you don't have your armor and stuff like that. If you've been using a defensive build, you don't have your armor for that as well. So this bit you got to be very careful on, especially on deathmatch. All right, so we go through all this stuff like that. Skip through and do all this stuff, and go through all that. Okay. Hopefully it'll be alright for ourselves because myself in this one because I've got the hard sweep and everything else. And as you can see there, the decoctions are still active. So a couple of uses of hard sweep will again get me that higher. Will get me that higher stamina regen, and it'll let me then keep Quen up and use hard sweep to get more hits in, which is how it's working out here. So that's good. So now I can get Quen up pretty comfortably, and then go back to using the other signs. Again, actually very useful with the Ancient Legend Decoction. And makes your stamina regen go up even quicker than hard, but of course the difference being that it does take your full stamina bar, whereas you can see there hard sweep doesn't. So hard sweep and Axie both really good with that. I got a load of stuff there. And that was actually relatively painless. So that's one of the bits that if you're using a signed build, that's extremely useful. So I'll have to get on with all this stuff. Right, gonna skip through this. Ignore Cleaver because he's a div. And then we need to be finding Horson Jr. as well, which I think is one of the next set of quests. And they're a bit irritating too, so we'll have to see. Alright, so let's go. Let's get through all this crap. Okay. Go through all this stuff. Then we've got to go through the casino and everything else. Right, so I've got to skip through this stuff as well. And go through all this stuff. Again, this is all really interesting stuff, but it's just like... I do like Dijkstra though. He's really funny. He's quite extremely sarcastic, so... Okay. Right, so that's another bunch of experience for that. Can do Dijkstra's quests as well. And I can also play Gwent against him. So I need to play Marquis Serenity first, then play against him. I might need to speak to Dijkstra before I carry out any more of these quests. So, Count Reuven's treasure, there we go. Nothing particularly interesting to loot down here. Get another hilarious troll character. We love the trolls.
Got a minute? I do.
Can't play Gwent against him yet because I haven't played Marquis Serenity, so I'll play her after.
Oh, Bart, not again. Bart.
Right, so just got to skip through here. You can ask him all this other stuff as well, but it's not really necessary. And then we've got to go through all that kind of stuff. So you get another alchemy quest here as well. Another alchemy recipe here as well. You get the pops mold antidote, so you can use that. Which actually means I'll... Let me have a look. Get through all this stuff. Go through the bad mushrooms. I think that it should be alright. You don't really need the pops mold antidote, so if you've got Gourmet, because it'll out damage it, and I have got the echidna decoction as well. I could always use it. We'll have to have a see. But let's I'll have a look after. If you've got the if you're on New Game Plus or you've got the superior, I've got another one there, so that's good. Let's have a look. If you've got the superior. What's the word? Superior Golden Oriole, then you can actually use that instead and get your health back as well. So you can use the those instead if you wish. Might not have a troll liver for doing this yet, but let's have a look, because I only got the one. Yeah, so I do need another cave troll liver. You can get those in Skellige, and I'm at about the sort of level where I can actually take some of those out, so I'll get those later. Right, so I'm just going to have a look here and see if Gourmet does out damage the poison, which I think it does. And assuming that's the case, I'll not have to bother meditating or anything like that. But you get a bunch of stuff down here, so again, like I was saying, a lot of the Novigrad quests, you do get a lot of manuscripts and things like that down here, so... Yeah, one of the problems is going to be that the is that Quen isn't going to last because of the taken damage. So you can see that actually it's not quite out damaging the Gourmet there. So I'll have to use Echidna, or I'll have to meditate after this. Is probably the easier solution. Yeah, so I'll need to meditate. I'll just come out first and then do that. It'll just be simpler. So we'll just stick to the normal potions. I don't believe I even need to make the pops mold antidote actually, but you can do. Might as well make the enhanced cat so we have that available. So where was the pops mold then? Normally it comes up under the quest one I think, but it doesn't seem to have. Let's see. That's really weird. Let's have a look. So I got the manuscript page, pops mold antidote. So do I have that made already then? Does that get made automatically? That's really weird. How bizarre. Let me have a look. It's not, definitely not under bombs, not under oils. It would normally go under quests, I think. But I haven't crafted it already either, so that's really strange. Oh, I already have this item. Well, there you go. Maybe I do then. Let's have a look where that is. It might be in the key part of your inventory or something like that for now. Just because it is like part of a quest. Oh, it's already put it in my inventory, that's why. Automatically puts it on a quick slot. How bizarre. Right, so just going to heal up there as well. Use that. You can get through this whole area in the time that that pops mold runs out, so you can just put something else on as well. Put one of the more useful potions back on, and because I'll be not using the decoctions for this bit, I'll just stick to the potions, but that's alright because it's still extremely powerful. So got that one there, and the other one that I often use is Blizzard or Petri Filter or something like that, but I don't really need to have those now, so I'll just stick with these. Right, so we just got to carry on. Again, R3 from the Ancient Lesson, very useful in close quarters.
Trinket.
Okay, so another one of these to take out. And given that you can still take 1 or 2 hits from normal enemies, the combat isn't so bad, just when I'm doing it like that kind of thing. Fighting a normal drowner and things like that, the combat's not too bad at all, so let me have a look at this stuff. And just make sure we're looting all of these things. Again, it's really important down in these sewer areas on these side quests that you do make sure that you're looting everything, especially the sort of square or rectangular chests, because a lot of the time they have recipes in, and it's really important for me to get as many of those because I love alchemy, and it is really powerful and extremely useful facet of the game on Deathmarch. So yeah, not bothering with Quenel for most of the time now. I can just stick to hard sweep and the ancient lesson. See if we've got anything else interesting to grab down here. Looks like there's another drowner over there, but if it's not on the path that I'm already on, then I'm not that bothered about fighting them, because I don't really need any more drowner tongues or anything that I remember for now. Early on they're really good to get, because obviously you need it for the killer whale potion and for the Maribor Forest potions as well. Not sure if the superior Maribor Forest needs it. I might not have the recipe for that, but I wouldn't be able to make it just yet anyway, because again I need those high level alchemy ingredients for that, and I'll be buying those from Toussaint. I'll go to Toussaint as soon as we get the poet under pressure sorted. So now I've just got to search down here, see what else is up.
Bottom of a container. Silver cylinder, most likely. Runes etched in the bottom. It's warped, probably by the explosion. Bomb part. Must be. Smells like wyvern oil and caramel. That'd be it then.
Strange combination for a bomb, but yeah, there you go.
Coin. Trail ends here. Dandelion must have loaded the treasure onto a boat.
Okay, so follow this round, go back to Dijkstra. I think you have to run like a big circle around this bit, but it doesn't really matter. And grab some stuff on the way, see if there's anything interesting. Absolute garbage and Dwarven Spirit. Absolute waste of time. Never mind.
Let's drink for it's nearly night. What was it happened to Falter's division?
Let's have a look.
Got a minute?
Right, so we got all that stuff there. Carry on with that. Alright, so we've got to go through all this stuff. This has been like a fairly fetch and carry sort of episode, because that's just, you know, that's what the sort of Novigrad quest really, let me have a think. Sorry, I'm just trying to skip through these and commentate at the same time, so yeah. This is just what the sort of Novigrad quest lines lend them to. This is what a lot of them actually boil down to if you're skipping the dialogue, which is, like I say, interesting the first time, but if you've seen it already and you just want to skip over it, it's not the most interesting part of the game to replay, so.
Something floating on the surface. Oil, looks like. Silver lid. Matches the cylinder bottom I found in the sewer. Dijkstra, come here.
Goes
Yeah.
up. Up with you.
Okay.
That's great.
Okay, so skip through all this stuff. We got the dead person, and go through all that. Skip through that. So another bit of experience, and then we can just carry on and do that as well. Like I say, these bits of the game do grate on me a little bit, so not as enthusiastic as usual. I do apologise. But we'll be back onto some good stuff when we get to Skellige. Those missions are pretty cool. And then we get on to Kermorin and everything else. I do still love the challenge of avoiding all that stuff. See, that made it seem like the guard was going to start on me, but then he didn't, which is weird. Must have been just out of range, because I don't fancy running away from them on a no armor playthrough, which you would have to. Okay. Right. So we're going to go to Henkel's house, Oh, this might be where you have to do the fist fight against 2 people. I really, really strongly dislike this bit on Deathmatch, if it's the bit I'm thinking of. Although that might be in Zed's house. So let's have a look.
Looks more like a beggar's hovel than a Margrave's townhouse. Dandelion made some interesting.
Oh yeah, no, this is different. That's alright. I'm thinking of a bit in the Gwent quests with Zoltan.
Footprints.
Skip through this bit as well. And then do this little quest. So again, this is another little bit, just can skip all the dialogue and stuff on subsequent playthroughs.
A wine from your birth year. It's absolutely excellent. Startling bouquet. You absolutely must try it. But afterwards, please place the bottle back where you found it. Your birth year. Could be dandelions or Ceres.
Where we at? Okay. Solve the riddle from the mysterious note. So we're just going to go through this bit and then go with this. I can't remember whose birthday it actually is. I think it's Ceres. There we go.
Secret room. Probably where Dandelion and his cohorts planned the homes of the substance dipped in wyvern oil. Instructions on how to build a bomb. Signed by one Kalkstein. Foot.
Couple more books to sell. And I'll be moving on.
Dijkstra and Triss. Didn't you?
No?
Okay, so skipping through this stuff, then we've got a couple of things that we'd need to go. Deek's just checking up on you and everything.
Thanks.
Fine.
Gent, but try.
Okay.
Because I
Menga, da da da.
Doesn't matter. I'll let
Okie doke. So we've got to go through all this stuff now.
the as Nate.
We've got the Menga quest as well, and they're really frustrating as well. Okay, on we go. Blah 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 blah. Skip ahead. Here we go.
True. But thought that
Okay, treasure to recover. Blah blah blah. On we go. Right, so we've got to carry on with that for Count Reuben's treasure if we're going to do that quest. And then we've got the Get Junior ones that we'll have to do as well. So lots of Novigrad quests that we need to pick up. There's also a couple of side quests that you can do with Triss. And you've got to talk to Cleaver about gangs of Novigrad as well. So I'll just do that now because I believe that's right here at Cleaver's establishment. And then I think I will call it a day for this episode. So again, a bit of a run and fetchy quest one, but we had a lot of fights against human enemies and showed how we'd taken out drowners and things like that. So you got to be careful when we're doing this No Armour, but it did show some tactics that you can use with normal playthroughs as well. So it can be a really good idea to use stuff like Add Sweep, Ancient Lesson Decoction, and they do have a lot of utility in normal combat. So if you're watching back on YouTube, please like, comment and subscribe for more videos, and check out my other Witcher 3 content as well. I really appreciate it, and have a good day on the path.